This episode is brought to you by Bright Cellars, a personalized monthly wine subscription. Start by taking a short, fun quiz, and the algorithm designed by 2 MIT grads will recommend the 4 best wines for your tastes based on science. You'll receive 4 bottles of wine per month, and you'll never receive the same bottle twice. Go to brightcellars.com/wine-to-5, and you'll get 50% off your first shipment.
It's not 5 o'clock, and they don't care. Welcome to Wine to 5. Entertainment, education, and everyday drinking for everyday people. Your hosts are Valerie Caruso and Stephanie Davis, 2 wine educators who don't need a clock to know when to pour that next glass.
This is seriously going to be an edutaining show. Well, not like it's any different than any other week, but...
I know. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. We're going to introduce our guest/co-host today. And before we get into our drinks and clinks, he is Skyping with us from Chicago. Here with us today is our token millennial, Andrew Villarreal. Woo!
Hey ladies, how's it going?
Welcome. It is, well, we've been drinking for 2 hours, dude. So
we've been already podcasting.
Oh man, you got it up on me.
Yeah, we've been recording. So yeah, we're on our second round here. But speaking of rounds, let's talk about who Andrew is and where he's been. He was the wine buyer and alcohol inventory manager for Trader Joe's in Illinois and Georgia for 8 years, where he fell in love with wine. His curiosity of the wine world led him to start taking wine classes with Wine and Spirits Education Trust, Society of Wine Educators, Wine Scholar Guild, and finally, Court of Masters Sommeliers. He is currently spread way too thin and working for Round the Table Hospitality Group as server, bartender, supervisor, and sommelier. He doesn't truly know what free time is, but if such a thing exists, you will find him playing frisbee, gardening, or enjoying quality time with his friends over a bottle of, wait for it, wine. He loves sharing wine knowledge with one and all, and welcome, Andrew.
Hello. Thank you so much.
I have to say, my Trader Joe guy, Josh, if you're listening, because he's a podcast lover, he says all the Denver guys that worked at Trader Joe's know who you are.
Are you kidding me?
Apparently, yeah. I mentioned that there was a Trader Joe's guy, Mr. Trader Joe's on Twitter. He goes, yeah, I think all the Denver Trader Joe's guy, they all trade in Chicago. I think they all know him. I'm like, well, yeah, he's going to be on the show in a couple weeks, dude. So, let us know you're out there. So, yeah, apparently you're
famous, Andrew.
You're famous.
Well... in the Trader Joe's community, I'm kind of a big deal. Working with Trader Joe's for 8 years, I had the great privilege of training just so many really great, talented people. And one of my focus was wine. I did everything. So if you want to know how to do inventory or, checking and receiving or whatever, but stocking the wine section was near and dear to my heart. And I kind of had like this tree, this growth and training tree that kind of spread throughout the country because I've worked in 6 different stores across the country. And, people kind of transfer and relocate, and then they spread what they learn from me to someone else. So I kind of feel responsible for, let's say, a third of Trader Joe's wine guys out there, and they're spreading the word out there. So I'm blessed to have that in my pockets and in my past, and it kind of just pushed me forward to keep learning and pursuing wine.
Well, now, if only Colorado Springs Trader Joe's had wine in our store, that would be awesome. But let's talk about the wine in our glasses, shall we?
Yes.
Okay, but I'm not having wine, you guys. Is that okay?
What?
I'm not either, so.
Yeah, well, okay.
That's right. We were counting on you, see? Well, I'm having beer, everybody. I don't do that very often, but I do have it in a Govino beer stein.
Nice.
Hey, gotta love Govino. And what I'm drinking is from Boulder. This is the Avery Brewing Company Out of Bounds Stout. Have you guys had this one before?
Yep.
That's a new one for me.
Yeah, we went there. Yeah.
Really good. This is totally good. It says experts only on it with these black diamonds.
Yeah.
I think I'm qualified. maybe.
Yeah.
Probably not. But yeah, it's like 6.3% alcohol. Maybe that's where the expert part comes in. But
Okay.
anyway, the coolest thing about this stout, which I do think is mighty delicious, is on the underside. I'm not even joking. It says, "If carrots got people drunk." Like, what? Like, what is happening right now? What does that mean? Carrots.
I don't know.
I sent you a picture, Val. Seriously. You've got to put it in the blog. It says, "If carrots got people drunk." And then it has like the date stamp of when it was canned.
I wonder if that's
Okay.
and there it is. I wonder if that's a Veggie Tales thing. I don't know.
I don't know. It's like some inside joke from like the canning guys, probably.
That's pretty funny.
I know. It's funny. But the beer's good too. So what are you guys drinking?
I am drinking Cenobium Ruscum 2012. It is a Trebbiano Malvasia Verdicchio blend.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that the wine shop guy sold it to me was, he said, "Have you ever had Ribolla Gialla?" And I said, "No, but I'm intrigued. I've heard of it. I've read of it. I've never had it." And he said, "Well, it's kind of like that. It's this amber wine that has been on the skins for quite some time."
Oh my
That's
god.
sexy.
It's wine porn. Hey, hold up. Let me take a picture of the wine porn.
Wine porn!
Hang on. Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Live wine porn.
Wine
Yeah.
porn. I love it.
So it's funky, it's earthy, it's extracted, it's amazing. It's like bruised pear, apples, almond, nutty kind of character to it. The one really cool thing about this is made by Cistercian nuns.
What?
And
That's cool.
nuns. Yeah, not Cistercian monks, Cistercian nuns. And there's like all this Italian story on here that I can barely read because I speak a little bit of Spanish. But on the back, this is saying that it's unfined, unfiltered, and they want it to express the natural earth that this comes from. And so this is from Lazio.
Sweet baby
Lazio.
Jesus.
Wow. That is
That
wine
sounds
porn.
so cool.
Like I want it. Like I want it in my glass
mean-
right now.
You could see, if anybody could see Val's face as like Andrew showing the bottle in the video, and Val's just like glued.
I know. I want to read the label and smell the
I'll
funk.
send it to you, and then you can
Yes.
you can put it up on.
Send us a picture of it for the blog for sure.
Yeah, definitely,
Oh my god.
definitely.
Yeah, that looks painfully awesome.
I'm actually Instagramming the wine porn with the zebra butts right now. So, but let's talk about what's in my glass before I get to that, because I'm not going to be conscious at the end of this. I am drinking Blade and Bow Bourbon. I'm going to show you the sexy bottle. It looks like it's a decanter. Look at that. Look at that
Oh
bottle.
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's like it's already in a decanter. It's beautiful. It's Solera matured straight bourbon whiskey from Kentucky. In fact, this bourbon is, well, we got to go there and try it last year on a cold, rainy day at the Stitzel-Weller facility, which just reopened a couple of years ago. But this is the last of the bourbon that was produced there before they closed in '92 originally. And, of course, this distillery opened way back in, I believe, originally in 1935, but its history goes back prior to that. And I'll link up the website so you guys can check it out. But we got to visit on a cold, rainy day. And I have to tell you, when I tasted this bourbon at the facility, I remember it was okay, but I was so cold and it was so damp and it was so miserable in Louisville in April that I was just like not feeling it. So it's amazing how good it tastes right here in my warm, cozy office while it's cold and miserable and rainy outside. But what's other cool juju about this whiskey is that it comes with a key. I'm holding up this little brass key, because originally there were these 5 brass keys that hung on the door at the old Stitzel-Weller distillery. And each key has a number. This is number 2. Each key represents a phase in bourbon production. Whoops. So first key being grains.
Did you just drop that key in
on
your
my
whiskey?
microphone? No, on my microphone. But yeah, I don't know where this key has been, but I definitely don't want to drop it in the whiskey. But key number one would represent grains, because that's what makes up bourbon, and we know bourbon's 51% corn. Key number two, I've got key number two represents yeast, of course, so for the fermentation and conversion and all that good stuff. And then there is fermentation, distillation, and maturation. So some of the keys are more rare than others. I'm not sure which ones are the rarest. Probably maturation, especially now that the distillery's history. But apparently when you go to the distillery, I don't know if they have when you collect all 5 keys, you send them in or they mail you something. I don't know there's a little secret world there with the keys, but I thought it was kind of cool.
That is some expensive packaging.
It really is, but it's not an expensive bourbon. I'll tell you, this bottle was about $44.
Okay.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
And it's certainly one of the fruitier bourbons I've ever had. And I'm sitting there like sipping this the other night, and I'm like, man, it's like reminds me of like pear and melon. And I hadn't read any reviews on it yet. I just saw that it was like one of those bucket list bourbons that was out there on a list, but I didn't really read any. I like to try to see if I can figure out what I'm tasting first. And sure enough, then I went to the website and read, and I'm like, yeah, and they're like pear and fruit. They don't mention melon, but I definitely would. It's one of the fruitiest bourbons that I believe I've ever tasted. So it's really good. I like it. I'll link up the website. The website's really cool. I'd encourage you guys to check it out. But speaking of keys, we have the key to the millennial brain today, because Andrew is our real live millennial, and he's joining us for a segment I really want to call it the Millennial Moment with Andrew.
Okay.
And we will let you call it that, Val.
Yeah, why not? I like the
Or
sound
I'll take
of that.
my microphone and go home.
That's so funny.
So what are we talking about?
Take it away. Tell us all about this, Andrew.
Oh, God. Okay, so I've been racking my brain trying to, contain some kind of essence and how to distill the millennials, because every time I try to get an age gap or an age range for the millennials, they say if you're born between 81 and 2000, and then some other people say if you're between the ages of 21 and 40, then there's generational cues, the baby movers would be, their generational cue is, where were you when Kennedy was shot? And, everyone says, oh, I remember this and this and this. But supposedly for the millennials, it's supposed to be, where were you when 9/11 happened?
Okay.
And that's supposed to be, something that we can tie our generation with. And that's, really influential. So, yeah, I'm going to be 30 this year. So I think I solidly fit in that category. And I've asked a whole bunch of friends input on what they think, and just asking little wine questions. And I never said this was for journalism, or I, had to take their name down and all this other stuff. I just said,
the best wine podcast out there. You didn't tell them it was for the best ever wine podcast?
I didn't want the results to be skewed.
Okay,
I wanted to be very objective. So I just asked them, what do you think about wine? What do you think about the labels? What do you think about the taste of it? And I would just kind of, footnote these things that I would hear and kind of remember them and jot them down. So I think there's a couple of different ways that the millennials are influencing the way that wine is being made, sold, and produced in the United States. The way I kind of have a firm handle on this is I went to a industry-only wine tasting that's through 750.com. I don't know if you're familiar. They kind of ask...
Distributors
Yeah. So they ask distributors and sommeliers and wine shop owners come down locally, and we have, whatever going on for you to try and taste. So through this, I got to go to a wine launch, and this wine was Prophecy. I don't know if you ladies heard of it.
No.
Okay, so
we have now.
You have now. It's solidly in the under $10 range, which millennials love. And I've asked numerous people, how do you buy wine? And I've always gotten, if it's got a cool, funky label, or if it's under $10.
Huh.
That's it. It's coming home with me. And I go, really? You don't care about the grape or the place or, what the back label says? And they're just like, whatever, it's an adventure. It's $10. If it's great, I'll buy it again. If not, I won't get it again, and I'll just try something new. And I was just blown away because, me, with all the studying that I'm doing, I want to know the grapes, I want to know the story, I want to know the place, and I want to know all that. And then that influences how I do my wine buying. But a couple of people, they go, is it 14, 15%? Good enough. Is it $10? Fine. What am I having for dinner? Doesn't matter. It's just going to get me there. So in this launch, they kind of echoed the same things, and they kept saying millennials, millennials, millennials. They're wanting to see funky labels and cool verbiage on the back label. Millennials, the ages of 21 to 29, comprise 27% of the buying force. Ages 30 through 36, 23%. That's a huge number. And just a couple years ago, baby boomers were the ones in power, and they were voting with their dollars. And now millennials are doing that, and little by little, they are changing the way that wine is being made and sold, because, winemaker A has got a half-naked lady splayed across a Cadillac versus, you have, this very regal beige background with, calligraphy script, and it looks very, high class, and that's not what people want, at least in my age range. They want something cool and funky that speaks to them, and Prophecy did something about that. They hired Victo Nagai. She was rated as one of Forbes 30 under 30 most influential illustrators. And they just asked her to draw up a couple of pictures, and then they did all this market research. I think they spent close to $10 million on market research all across the country. And the millennials almost unanimously voted for these now 4 signature pictures that Prophecy has. And, everything is just, how do we cater to millennials? How do we get them to buy what we're selling? So they're lowering their price point to $10, $12 a bottle. They're having these cool, funky labels. They're having funny names, which I'm sure you've seen some pretty funny names out there.
Oh, yeah.
White Girl Rosé.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that, but that is really funny.
It's literally a white label, and in blue letters, it just says White Girl Rosé. That's it.
Yeah.
And people, it stands out because the lettering, it's like huge blocky letters, and you can be
when you're going,
through,
you can see as you're walking. I mean, even the white itself will stand out so striking like that. Yeah.
It's funny is we had that conversation with Cynthia Sterling a couple weeks back about wine and labels, and I'm thinking about your White Girl Rosé and the half-naked woman splayed across the Cadillac. And I'll tell you what neither one of them is doing. Neither one is drinking wine on the label because it's not allowed. I would just
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
You could be half naked laying on a car, but you can't be drinking the wine on the label. So I'm sorry. It just occurred to me. So moving on.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I totally remember. I was just listening to that the other day, and
yeah.
Can't you see too, like how the shopping is more about carefree adventure? And isn't it carefree to be, a naked lady on a Cadillac? That's probably part of it too. But, you're looking for an experience or an adventure, and you're not afraid. As a millennial, you're approaching the wine without fear because you're like, well, like you were saying, Andrew, $10 or less. If they don't like it, oh, well, I'll try something new next time. That's an attitude that they're like, well, what if we can get them to pick up the bottle with that attitude, but then they really like the wine? That's kind of what they're looking for, right? Like, get them to pick up the bottle or pay attention to it. And Now how do you get them to commit to buying it a second time? Right.
So something, again, that this market research done by the Prophecy Group, they had asked these people, what are you looking for in your wines? And everyone kind of said, well, I want something really familiar, something that I have before that, I can associate with good times from, a barbecue or a really great dinner or whatever. And it was really funny. They said, for example, they want their Pinot Grigio to taste the most Pinot Grigio. They want their Sauv Blanc to taste like New Zealand Sauv Blanc. Like, they want these very typical, very similar, typicity. these wines, I've had this before. Haven't I had this before? It tastes familiar. It doesn't matter. It's a good wine. Let's just go with it. It's $10. So yeah, that's kind of, how millennials are influencing wine tasting, is because now there's a little bit more residual sugar, that kind of rounds out the palate, because, these high acid, sharp wines that have these angles that are angular, and they have different high notes and low notes. That's for someone who's like thinking about a wine really complex and like, yes, this is a good wine, versus someone's just like, yeah, we're barbecuing, so drink up. It's just like, yeah, let's just get this alcohol in me, and let's just make sure it doesn't taste that bad.
I have to wonder, because when I was that age, being like under 30, I pretty much approached alcohol buying the same way. I looked at price. I didn't have a big emotional investment in the purchase. I was drinking Bartles and James. I was drinking, and whatever was on the wine list, it was cheap. I ordered it. Half time I didn't like it. But I can see a little touch of RS goes a long way with someone who's not interested in the wine's story or sense of place or anything like that. So I'm kind of wondering, why is it millennials are so interested in wine now instead of alternative beverages?
Well, I don't know. I mean, craft cocktails are like soaring like crazy.
Yeah.
And in Chicago is no exception. I was just out with a couple of friends a couple of weeks ago, and I just said, show me your Chicago. And they said, oh my God, there's this really cool craft cocktail place not too far from here. We should go. And they've got these funky infusions. It's like a tropical drink, but then they put like a layer of smoke on top of it. Mm-hmm. And then they serve it with a plate. And then once you get it, you're supposed to lift it off and then smell it and drink it. And I was like, what? How have I never heard of this place before? Yeah, and it was kind of like this little hole in the wall, but there was maybe about 10 seats, and the bar had another 15, 16 stools, but it was packed to the gills with people, and just like a whole bunch of flannel-wearing, skinny jean-wearing guys with like big chunky glasses and a beret, and I was just like, okay, kind of a little out of my element, but let's see. And I looked at the craft cocktail menu, and my jaw dropped.
What is this place called?
Well, I went to a couple. So the Sixth. The Sixth is one of them.
We got to link this up.
There's another one called The Heavy Feather, which is kind of like this 70s disco lounge where they got big comfy chairs, and they're playing like Diana Ross the Supremes, Michael Jackson, Marvin Gaye, Teddy Pendergrass. I think a little bit of CCR, Canned Heat is in there.
You got what I need.
That's what I'm talking about.
There.
Oh, please come, and I will show you my new Chicago, because I'm just going around visiting all these craft cocktail places. But then there's also these wine bars, which I've got to know some of the owners or some of the bartenders, and I'll just say, what's new? What do you have new on By the Glass? And they'll say, oh, dude, I got this sick Beaujolais Cru. It was on this hillside, and it was, it's funky, and, it's like half carbonic, half not. And I'm just like, yeah, down. Go ahead. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Are you seeing when you're out at these places, wine cocktails where not like a champagne cocktail, but like where they're putting wine, kind of like we did for the Wine 2.5 cocktail? Are they putting red wine or still white wine in some cocktails?
Unfortunately, I'm not seeing a lot of it.
That is unfortunate.
I went to this one place, I think called Ouija's, and what they were doing, they had this drink called A Drink Has No Name. And it was Oloroso sherry, an orange peel, a spritz of tonic, and something else. She floated a little something else on it, but it was so simple, but yet so beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. So sherry is, kind of making its way into cocktail land. I don't know about very much else.
Okay.
I kind of asked some bartenders, I said, do you have any wine cocktails? And they said, well, I guess I can make you like a Kir Royale. I was like, okay, maybe I'll just pass on that.
Or maybe a riff on it.
Yeah.
Yes. So I guess they're kind of like doing classic wine cocktails. So
I think it's cool though to see the fortified wines like sherry import. I've seen a little bit of that where they're mixing it or doing some promotions, whether it's like the tasting panel or some of these magazines where they're, putting on competitions with mixologists, saying, okay, use this port or use this sherry to create something new, so I hope to see more of that for sure. But I think as far as millennials go, I was asking my cousin Frances and her husband Brian, who are both millennials in their early 30s, about it. And I said, what do you think about wine cocktails? And they said, well, first of all, they don't really make cocktails at home. That's something that's, again, an experience that they're going out for. And when they described it, it sounded like, we're going to go to this cool place. And, it's part of their activity for the night is to go check out a place that has great cocktails. But they said they haven't seen wine very often in the cocktails, but that they would be very open to trying that. And I think that's probably more just in general, that's what millennials are doing. They're just open to a new experience.
Yes, definitely.
That hits on 2 points, because remember when Jackie Strum was on here talking about Thirsty Nest, that was something that's something, trying to dissect the millennial mind here. And I go back to like, what is different about this age group than when I was in an age group 30 years ago? But availability is a big part of it. Experiences were always something I think even 20-year-olds back in the 80s wanted. But availability was something that wasn't there. I can remember going into the liquor store and not seeing the wall of wine that you have today. So definitely availability technology has happened.
Yes.
I think we're all wired the same way. We're all looking for the cheap, a little bit of residual sugar, and the experiences. There just, I think, are more of you in this generation as well. And of course, the world is a different place than it was during the Cold War. But at the same time, I always try to put myself in, what if I was 20-something now or 30-something now? Mm-hmm. Where would I be? And I can't see where it's any different than I would have been back then. Hey, is it $10 or less at Cost Plus World Market? Cool, it's going in my basket.
Right. I think now with technology as prominent as it is and apps like Vivino and Wine Searcher, everyone kind of feels like they have a sommelier in their pocket.
Yes.
And they can pull up something and, oh, I saw this rating and blah, 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 and it has notes of, okay, so I guess that's fine. I'll just go ahead and pick it up. And I don't know. I don't know why ratings is like such a big thing, even though it's been around for forever. But I ask my friends, again, how did you pick that wine? And they go, oh, dude, it's got like a 91-point rating. And I go, oh, that's great.
By whom?
So who's your... Yeah. So my follow-up question, and I don't want to be a jerk about it, I'm like, so who's your favorite wine writer? Whose palate do you favor more? Is it Jancis or is it Robert? And they go, who's Jancis? Who's Robert? Exactly. Don't listen to the wine points. Make your own decision and form your own opinion on what you think is good. Just because so-and-so says it's, so many points, does that give any credence to why you should buy this wine?
Isn't Vivino their thing? It's almost a community response. It's like, well, if there's a score on Vivino, isn't that input by a lot of people tasting it? So if you're going to see a relatively high score on that app, then it's probably safe to say, well, if all these people are weighing in and like it, like it's kind of like when you look at Yelp. Oh, there are 400 reviews. 4.5 stars, chances are the restaurant's going to be okay. And I know millennials have that technology at their disposal now, and they really rely heavily on community input.
Yes.
And ratings.
Yes.
They tend to trust that, as much as word of mouth. And that's what I'm wondering. They're trusting the community input or the score that most people are giving apothic or whatever it is they're drinking. I would venture to say that probably has a part of it, that a lot of the decisions and purchase decisions are made via the phone.
Yeah, most definitely. It's definitely come into play. Like I said, it's kind of like everyone feels they have a sommelier in their pocket, and yeah, like whatever so-and-so said, it, 4-star review and it tastes XYZ. Okay, that kind of goes along with what I'm up for tonight. So go ahead, give it a try. And like you said, Steph, is people kind of have this carefree $10, whatever attitude. If I like it, fine. If not, I'll just try something else tomorrow or the next day or the next day.
And then you add to that model convenience. Can it be delivered to my door?
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that is definitely something I've heard too. Like, is it on Amazon or where else I'm shopping? Can it just be another click of a button, And I think that's just the commonplace now. Some of us didn't grow up that way, even though I do cross the millennial border sometimes, depending on what year is the cutoff. But I think that that's not my first go-to when I'm doing wine buying, but more and more so now people are buying online. But like Frances was telling me, the first thing when I said, tell me about how you guys shop for wine, and she's like, man, I would love it if it was on Amazon. I was like, well, it is. There is some wine on Amazon. And she's like, well, not like books, clothing, or whatever. And I said, yeah, but I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot more wine there eventually. But you can get some wine on Amazon.
You can, but and I have to say, buying online, places like K&L, where there are wine experts, they have a wine expert for every country. So if you want Spain, you ask for Joe Mannequin. If you want France, you ask for this. They have somebody for every country, and I know that they're buying great stuff because I've been to their store in Redwood City. My issue is it's too easy to fill up my cart and go way over whatever wine budget I set for the month. It is so easy to buy wine online, and it's so great to have it show up at your door. I have to say, like I said, the risk is you just can't stop. It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, but imagine if you're on Amazon, and you're buying like deodorant and a tank top and some auto part and a DVD and a book and a bottle of wine.
It is great to be able to do that. Yeah, it's like, okay, the hanky-panky panties show up with the colored markers, show up with the wine, show up with the air filter or the water filter for the fridge. Absolutely. It's definitely commonplace. It's definitely a world now. And anyway, should we move on to the factoid?
Yes, let's move on.
We beat this to death. Oh my God. Andrew, why don't you lay a factoid on us?
Okay. Have you fine ladies heard of May wine?
Oh.
Before?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. So for the adventurous palates that are out there, May wine is traditionally drunk around the month of May. And it has its
I know, we're in May right now, so
yeah. Let's all go out and get some May wine. It has its origins in Germany and Austria, and kind of goes back from the pagan days of rebirth of Mother Earth. And what they do is they take this white wine, usually Riesling or some other Müller-Thurgau blend or something like that, and then they infuse it with sweet woodruff, leaves, and flowers. And it kind of infuses the wine with this little, herbal note. So it's an aromatized wine.
Okay. Typically,
it kind of has this, not this orange color, but a little bit lighter. And the sweet woodruff, just imagine if your Riesling had an extra pow of white flowers or a little bit of sweet herbs to it. And also, sometimes what they do is they put sliced strawberries and they let it kind of hang out together, and you get this light, fruity, sweet herbal wine that you just drink in large quantities. And you put flowers in your hair and you're dancing around the maypole and you're just celebrating spring's arrival. So Yeah, that's what May wine is, and
Huh.
I've had it for the last 3 years in a row now.
Where do you get it?
They usually sell it in some of the stores here in Chicago. I get it. I was looking for it online at gluns.com.
Okay.
They're a distributor out of Chicago. You might be able to get it shipped to you.
Okay.
So glunz.com, if I'm not mistaken, or House of Gluns. And they have, I mean, their list is huge of all the different wines that they have. But May wine is something that only comes out around this time of year. And it's nice. It's very quaffable and easy drinking, and just really nice, light, very delicious and aromatic and all that good stuff.
We'll have to get some and check it out on the show, see if we can find some. I have a couple other online resources too that we could probably see if we can get it and get it delivered.
I'll send you a picture if I find it anytime soon, along with some tasting notes. But what's really cool is that they sell it in a liter bottle, and they have one of these flip tops.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And on the front of the bottle, it's just a whole bunch of women with wreaths of flowers in their hair dancing around a maypole. And there's these strings, and there's flower petals all over. It's just very light and fun, and it's something I look forward to every year. Yeah.
You know?
Is it just the women with the flowers in their hair? Because what are the men doing while this is all going on? I'm just
What
curious.
are the men?
I don't know. I can't really picture the image of the label, but if there were men, I think they're kind of off in the corner, and they're playing drums and violins or something like that.
There we go. All right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just why is it just got to be the women dancing around the pole? What are the men off doing? All right.
Yeah, though, that was a good factoid, Andrew. I
was
like
really
that.
good.
Thank you.
Really good.
What have we got for Wino Radar?
Oh my gosh. One more sip of this bourbon and I'm going to have flowers in my hair. I'm going to be dancing around my office. But because I've lost my damn mind and have chosen to go back to school full time, I have not been focusing on too much else. However, I am working on the next certification summit for the Society of Wine Educators, currently scheduled for June 3rd at 10 a.m. Central. We will be talking about Austria. Speaking of, we won't be talking about May wine that I'm aware of, but more specifically from Ausbruch de Zweigelt, the wines and spirits of Austria. There will be a Gruner Veltliner taste along. How's that for Saturday morning fun?
That's how you do it.
I know, and I'll tell you, I've already learned more about Austrian sect than should be legal. So we will link all that up for you guys. Although you do need to be a member to attend the certification summits, the webinars that we do have are open to everyone. So we'll give you a link, check it out, and it'll be a lot of fun. Andrew comes to these things too sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah,
I'm
I've seen you in there
as much as physically possible. I love it.
I've seen Aswani in there and some of our other listeners as well. I mean, hanging out in there on Saturday morning doing a taste along. So, yeah, that's on my Wino Radar. How about you, Andrew?
I am way looking forward to Wine Camp. Wine Camp. Society of Wine Educators Conference in Portland. What? August 10th through 12th. I will be there, and I will be square, and I will be a cork dork along with you.
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to go to Texom, although a couple of people that I know are really going, or they're planning on going, because I went last year.
Right.
And everyone said, "Oh, give us a review, tell us, we've never been." And of course, like an idiot, I go, "Oh my God, it was so awesome." I saw MS, Jeff Kruth and Fred Dame and Shane, and I just start name dropping like a fangirl that I am. And everyone goes, "Oh my God, how awesome is that?"
So tell us a little bit about TechSom. I've never been, again, because it's usually the same weekend as the Society of Wine Educators Conference, and I'm not a SOM.
Yeah.
But it's not just for SOMs, correct?
Correct.
So tell our listeners who goes and what they can expect from this experience. If they're not going to join us in Portland, maybe this is something they'd like to do, or if they're in the Texas vicinity, because we do have some listeners from Texas.
Yeah. So Society of Wine Educators is August 10th through 12th. TechSom is August 12th through 14th.
Okay.
So imagine me going to Society of Wine Educators and then leaving on Saturday night after my last conference, getting on a plane, flying to Dallas, and, you know, checking in, then going to the seminar the next day, and then just the same thing. I was like in conference mode, you know, bouncing around from seminar to seminar. But a lot of SOMs go, a lot of AS, advanced SOMs, and a lot of master SOMs are there. But as well as, you know, winemakers, distributors, salespeople as well. And it's the same thing as Society Wine Educators. They have these seminars hosted by some really, really great people. A lot of MWs, Masters of Wine, MSs, and there's these tasting panels or just fun little things about really crazy, obscure things. Like I did Wines of Georgia last time I went, and there was 3 MWs talking about the Caucasus Mountains and, you know, how the origins of wine came from that area and how Georgia and Turkey and just all these little Eastern European countries they're revitalizing. They're coming back into the forefront of what's new and fresh.
Yeah.
I love the breakouts. There's little luncheons supported by, you know, champagne houses and wines of Spain and wines of Portugal and wines of Greece, and you have amazing lunches, and you just they give you this huge round table, and there's usually 10, 12 people there, and they just put 6, 8, 10 bottles in the middle of the table, and you just go around tasting. Oh, let me get a glass of that. I'm having, you know, whatever. Oh, what are you drinking? Let me get that over there, and it's really fun. So yeah, if you can't make it to Society Wine Educators, go to TechSom, and you're going to be hot. You're going to be very, very hot. I don't know if anyone knows Dallas, Texas in August.
No.
Oh, yeah. It's hot. But luckily it's at the Four Seasons.
Okay.
And it's beautiful. Everything is beautiful. It is top notch. You want for nothing. You are catered to the utmost. And you get to be in the same room as some of the great minds of the wine world.
Great.
So yeah, that's something I might do, maybe not. I don't know. I got to see what's going on.
All right.
But
thanks for that.
That's what's going on. Yeah.
And then the Wine Bloggers Conference is usually that weekend too, but this year I think they've moved it to November. Correct, Steph?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that's usually a busy weekend for Cork Dorks, but that's good. That's all we've got going on so far. So, Steph, what's on your wino radar right now?
Well, so back to this whole conference in Portland, I just saw in the Wall Street Journal weekend edition that there was a restaurant and wine list recommendation for Davenport. So I've never heard of it, but I'm definitely interested in checking it out because supposedly their wine list is full of great gems.
Oh, man.
And they have an inventory of well-aged and well-priced bottles, making it a gem, right? So a great bottle at a great price, that's hard to come by. So I'm thinking maybe some of us, while we're there for Society of Wine Educators, should probably get a reservation and check out Davenport. The other thing is we don't have all the details yet, but we are kind of planning a little Wine 25 happy hour in Portland too. So more to come in a future episode about that.
So basically nothing to do there.
Yeah. It's boring.
Yeah.
It'll be a great time.
I think so. It's going to be packed, that's for sure, because there's something almost every night. I know I'm getting there Tuesday, so I'll be there for a wedding the week before, so I'll have a little bit of time. But what about shout-outs?
Well, I have to say thank you, Andrew, for being here today, but also thank you, Andrew, for contributing on our Wine25 community Facebook page. And it's really great to see some of our listeners and Patreon supporters and people like Katerina sharing their drinks with, photos and what's going on in their world, wherever they are. So for anybody who's like, what is she talking about? We do have a private Facebook group called the Wine25 Community. So all you need to do is find it and then say you want to join and we will get you in the action.
Or just gives probably Steph a message, because I never check DMs and I don't even have Facebook on my phone anymore. I'm at war with Facebook right now. But I get on my computer like once a day. I'm like, this is Facebook time. Okay, check. I'm checking in and I'm done. But yeah, definitely give us a message. Send Steph a message or message one of our pages, and we can definitely hook you up with the group. But yeah, Andrew's all over that. So we appreciate you for contributing and for helping us build the group. Yeah. What about your Wino radar, dude? What's on yours?
So super mega shout out to David Clancy, MS, and Kristen Campbell from San Francisco Wine School. I don't know if I told you, Steph knows, I don't know. Oh yeah, you too, Val. I got back from Europe like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I didn't have the timeline down, but I heard that you were going to be like out on some river.
Yeah,
cruise.
I was on the Danube.
Conquering the Danube.
Love it.
That's
One
right.
wine at a time.
Yeah, so I was out there April 1st through the, oh God, when did I get back? Like the 17th or something, the 18th, I think. Yeah. And it was just amazing. And David Clancy had hosted this wine river cruise where we were just going down the Danube. We started in Budapest, Hungary. We went to Slovakia, we went to Austria, we went to Germany, and then I ended up in Prague. And it was just amazing. First time river cruise, first time in Europe, first time having dinner with a master sommelier. I mean, it was just like everything. It was absolutely everything I could hope for.
How many people were on that cruise?
So altogether, I think it was 130.
Nice.
So it's not a super huge mega ocean liner. It was small. It was intimate. The service through AMA Waterways was just phenomenal. You wanted for nothing. It was just first class all the way. 4-star chef for every meal. 24-hour espresso machine, which I took full advantage of. Oh, yeah. What time is it? Doesn't matter. It's espresso time.
Yeah.
It's espresso time. So yeah, it was just, it was beautiful. The history, the people, kind, the food was amazing. And it's just so rich in all these different things. It was just layered and layered and layered with beauty of the scenery and everything. So thank you, David Clancy and Kristen Campbell, for reaching out and telling me you have to come to this and experience this. And I said, okay, fine. Twist my arm if I have to, you know. So thank you guys for that amazing, amazing experience.
Well, we thank you for taking one for the team and sucking that up.
It was dreadful. Oh,
I know. Way to hang in there, buddy.
Somebody had to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody has to do it. But you know what? We can't let you go without sharing your most embarrassing wine story. So I'm sure you've got one, Andrew. Let her rip.
Yeah. Okay. So I had just joined a new tasting group, and everyone had just finished introducing themselves, and I found myself in a room with like certified sommeliers and wine bloggers and wine shop owners and sales reps and all this other stuff. And here I am telling people I've studied wine for 6 years. I'm a certified sommelier. I'm a French wine scholar. I'm a certified specialist of wine. And someone goes, oh, have you ever heard or seen of an Osso before? It just so happened that the year prior, a friend of mine had given me one for Christmas. And I was like the biggest geek. Every wine bottle that came across me, I was using it. I was practicing, and I finally got it down. And so I had brought mine with me just in case. And so this one gal says, oh my God, can you please use it? I'm like, oh, absolutely. So here I go, and I cut the foil, and I try wiggling the Osso in there. And so many things went wrong. At that moment.
That's already funny.
Yeah. So first off, the cork was plastic.
Oh my.
You know, and the Osso was meant to take out a real cork that's like old, and it's supposed to take it out completely and very gingerly. It wasn't meant for plastic corks. Okay, so that's first. Second, I had pierced the cork. So now there's little dribbles of wine coming out as I'm struggling to pull this cork out. I was getting frustrated. I'm shaking because all these people are watching me, right? And so I just like, you know what? I just need to push it in just a little bit further, and then I'll get it out. I pushed it in, and the cork fell in.
Nice.
Cork fell in the bottle. So everyone's just like, oh my God, what's going on? And it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. I got this. So I attempt to pour the wine, but the cork gets stuck in the bottle. So nothing is coming out. And so I'm just like, all right, this wine is going to get out of this bottle one way or another. And so I've just given up on it. And as I'm lifting the bottle, the cork moves out of the way and the wine just comes shooting out of the bottle.
Oh my God.
All over the table. Did I mention the wine was red? Yeah, red wine. All over the table, on me, all this other stuff. It was just ridiculous. And of course, everyone is just, doing the slow clap, and they're laughing, and they're patting me on the back, and they just kind of all together just go, better luck next time, dude.
Oh my God. Did they set you up knowing that was a plastic cork?
I really hope that wasn't the case, but that it happened. And I didn't even realize because I was just, I'm cutting the foil and I'm putting it in there and I'm like making sure everyone is looking to say that I'm doing this right. And I'm just really struggling. Why is this so hard? And then I look down at the cork and I realize it's plastic, and then I pierced it and I'm twisting and it's dripping out and just this whole mess. And oh God. But everyone's like, you know what? It happens.
Yeah.
Just, it happens. Whatever. Get over it. And I lived to tell the tale. And I'm not an outcast.
I don't think being cool and like opening wine bottles go together very well. At least they don't for me either. I mean, it was like last week I was opening a bottle at a friend's house, and everybody's just kind of like asking me all this wine stuff, and I'm the wine person in the room, and I'm opening the bottle and the foil cuts my thumb, and I'm like bleeding all over this whole wine key, and I'm making a mess with bleeding, and I'm just like, being cool and opening wine doesn't usually go together.
As long as you can keep the bottle out of your crotch. I had a guy, no kidding, come to my table, and he started opening the bottle, and he was having a hard time, and it went to his crotch. I'm like, okay, dude, give me no, you can't. I mean, really? Yeah. I mean, what do you do with that? I mean, that's like the first thing that they teach you is like the bottle does not touch the crotch when you're opening a bottle for a customer. But so I think if you can keep the bottle out of your crotch, you're good. Everything else is excusable. Am I right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
I'd say so.
David, if you're listening, am I right? Oh my God. Well, gosh, dude, we could talk to you all day. You are a storyteller, and we were having so much fun, but we probably need to move on here. Thank you for sharing, and the point is, we live to tell another day.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Right. And there's more bottles out there to bleed on or to spray, on other wine drinkers, for sure.
Yes.
So speaking of some of those wine drinkers that we love, we want to send out some Patreon love. Thank you to our Tenacious Tasters, Jeff E. from the We Like Drinking podcast, Lynn from Savor the Harvest, and Sebastian of Sassy Italy Tours. Thank you, guys. And to our It's Not 5 o'clock and We Don't Care listeners, like Andrew, who's with us today.
Yay!
Whoop, whoop.
Hey.
Hey.
Thank you to Meg, Clay, John, and Aswani. We appreciate all your support. And for anybody else, you can jump on the Patreon bandwagon as well and spend time with our Wine25 community. And you get all this cool stuff as a Patreon supporter. You get exclusive content, early releases, shout outs, swag. Maybe you come on the show like Andrew. But also each month we have a drawing.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrew's busted out the Go Vino Wine25 swag. Sweet.
Nice.
That
Never
was
far.
Perfect timing, dude.
Never far.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so even at the $2 a month Tastemaker listener level, you'll be entered into a drawing every month for a surprise wine gift. So if you'd like to see more about what is Patreon and how to do it, go check out our patreon.com/wine25 podcast page.
And guys, if you're not subscribed already, please give it a click. Click subscribe. You can do that on our website. You can do it on our podcast site. Share it, link it, tweet it, or Facebook it. Grab somebody else's phone. Do them a favor. Help them subscribe. Then push play, stand back, and watch the magic. Leave us a burning wine question or a comment on SpeakPipe, or maybe a nice review on Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio. Also, check out our website store because there are wine books, accessories, all kinds of goodies out there. Sadly, not wine, but we can sell all kinds of other great things or whatever you're looking for. Check it out.
Maybe
There's
the
a search
also.
box. The
also
also
on the store.
I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the blog this week. Usually if we're talking about something in the show, as a little note, if we're talking about something on the show, if there's something in our store that corresponds to what we're talking about, like an also, I'll go ahead and link it up for you guys. So all you got to do is click, make it easy for you. I'm all about the easy button. I'd like to provide that to you guys every single week. Everything's there, guys. You can link to our Facebook page, our Twitter, our Pinterest, our YouTube, our Google+, and of course I'm Val. You can connect with me on Wine Gal Unboxed. I'm a little snarky, but that's okay. I'm on the Vino with Val Facebook page. I'm on Instagram once in a while. I'm even on Pinterest. Steph, you can find her on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest as the Wine Heroine. And you can also connect with her personally on Facebook. And Mr. Andrew, well, you can connect with Andrew Villarreal on Facebook. That's Andrew Villarreal, VILLARREALCS, or at Mr. Trader Joe on Twitter, or email. Any questions, any comments to andrewvillarreal1976@gmail.com. We'll put this in our blog also so you can find him along with the pictures. You can associate the picture with the voice. But everybody, that's all we have for this week. Until next week.
Cheers. Cheers. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for listening to the Wine to Five podcast. Be sure to check us out at Facebook/WineTWO5 and tune in next week for more fun and useful sip tips.